It's now been 1 full year in my full-time position at BU. I've continued to balance my running. I am excited to continue to try to cut down that 5K time even further.
The pass was made by Margot. Loggia returning the favor.
It's Will Loggia, second straight year. What a battle.
And the young man running for the hometown Terriers will win.
Let's go, Will, finish.
Now Will Loggia taking it out.
Will Loggia, Gilbert, Will Loggia, we got
Will Loggia,
huge kick.
Welcome to the Kick, a runner's podcast. I'm your host, Will Loggia. I love running and I love a good kick. Today's guest is none other than Emelyn Theriault, a runner who basically owns the streets of Boston, most recently coming off a huge PR in the 5K in the Cambridge Classic this month. This is the final podcast of 2025, so we had to go out with a bang, and I can't think of anyone better to put an exclamation point on the year. Emelyn works full-time at her alma mater, Boston University, and she trains at a super high level despite her busy schedule. For those struggling to balance running with work, Emelyn is an example of someone who not only pulls it off, but continues to set new PRs, new goals, and just keeps excelling in the sport. She's been one of my biggest inspirations, not only to get me out of the door for some earlier AM runs, but also just as an example of how you can keep pursuing improvement in this sport, even when it seems like it might be time to hang up the spikes. So Emelyn, thank you for joining me here on The Kick.
Thanks so much for having me, Will, and thank you so much for that wonderful intro. I'm excited to close out 2025 with you.
Well-deserved intro right there. It's very true. And I, like I said, can't think of a better way to close out the year. Happy holidays. It's the end of the year. How's the season been for you? What are you up to?
Yeah, so it's been a long year, as I'm sure a lot of us can relate. And like you said, it's now been 1 full year in my full-time position at BU. And with that, I've continued to balance my running. I've also, I like to lift consistently, which maybe we can talk about that more later and how that's been kind of a complement to my running. And so I would attribute some of that to the strength that I've developed in running and racing, as well as, just working, having a life, keeping with it. And like you said, 5K PR, which was kind of a big deal for me. It was my first time breaking 19, so I was super excited about that. And I'm excited about more races in the new year. Maybe a marathon. We'll see.
Ooh, maybe a marathon.
I don't know.
Dropping a lot there. I think, yeah, you definitely hit on something that I think is very true to you is your balance, being able to run a lot, also, lift and handle all of that. You also go on a lot of walks, which always surprises me on Strava. I'll be like, oh, Emelyn did an 8-mile run. Oh, no, wait, that was a walk. And she also did an 8-mile run. But yeah, you definitely have a lot of time on your feet. What do you think? How are you able to kind of balance all of that training? Because you get up early, I know you run, and you have maintained the lifting as a priority. And I'm very impressed by that because a lot of people find that really hard to continue incorporating that. What's kind of your motivation to do that? And how do you think it helps?
Yeah, so I would just say that a key to being able to accomplish that is kind of like time management, which I think translates well to a lot of things. I don't wake up super duper early. I am also a night owl, so I wake up I stay up late. So with that it can be a little tricky, with you know early mornings, late nights, but it's nothing too unmanageable. I definitely will say it's also a benefit that I do go to the BU gym. So that's right next to where I work. So I can just hop over there after the work day is through, start the day with a run. And for me, it's really a great way to both start my day and then close my day. Running helps me wake up, clear my mind. And then lifting helps me break a sweat after the day, then be able to just go back home, relax, do whatever else I need to do before then, waking up and doing it all over the next day. But for me, I genuinely just do wake up looking forward to running. It's also a great way to, catch up with friends. It's a good way to just reconnect, whether that's with yourself or with someone else. So I truly do enjoy it.
I love that. And the split of doing the run in the morning and the lift after work, it does feel like it definitely works. Lifting is something, it's just, I think, great for anybody. But as a runner doing some higher volume, it definitely helps you stay healthy as well. But you mentioned kind of being a night owl, but also getting up fairly early. How do you feel like, are you able to get enough sleep and feel
Mm.
like that's because, as we know, sleep very important with recovery. Um, do you ever feel like you're sacrificing sleep to maintain that schedule?
That's a good question. When I say night owl, it's usually around like 11, 11:30, so nothing crazy. So I still am getting, 7 hours. Like you said, it's great for a recovery, 7 to 8 hours. Um, but I've also gotten better at just listening to my body. And, if I wake up,
Mhm.
I give myself grace and give myself the option to be like, okay, I can run after work today, rather than pushing myself out the door if it just doesn't feel right. But at the same time, there are some days where it's not an option and I just still go out there. And by the end of the run, I'm really glad that I did. And it does help me kind of stay more alert throughout the day, I would feel. Just ready for the day, knowing that I've gotten that run out, even if it's only a few miles. Um, yeah,
Right. I think that's something that runners can relate to, and people who maybe don't run can't even imagine how that would be, like doing something that's
yeah,
so tiring. How does that make you more alert? But I definitely relate to that. And also just what you mentioned about not always feeling up to it, but then once you do it, feel really good after. That is the only way you're going to experience that is if you actually do it. But
mm,
runners understand that for sure. So I want to get into the recent 5K, Cambridge Classic, Winter Classic, earlier this December. I know breaking 19 has been a bit of a goal for you in the
mm.
5K, and you didn't just break 19, you ran 18:38, so you were well under that mark. I want to go through kind of the lead up to that race, the race itself, but let's start with leading up to that race. Did you feel like something big was coming?
Not exactly. I knew that the weeks leading up to, I had stayed consistent. Day of, still kind of feeling, the legs were feeling a little bit, not quite feeling it on the way there. I did 2 mile warm up to it. Even, the first kilometer of it, I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe this is one of those, but then something just switched and it it was kind of like the easiest that it's felt doing a 5K. Like by the end, I was feeling so good. So not only did breaking 19 just feel amazing, but also breaking 19 and having it feel that good was awesome. So it was like you said, part of the Cambridge series. I actually completed the spring, summer, fall, and then the winter. Definitely recommend. It's great, great little loops and things like that. The fall one before that felt not good at all. So I was not going into it with, you know, high hopes, given that the previous 5K didn't feel so good. But coming off of that one, I feel very happy about it. And yeah, just I'm glad that I locked in and kind of pushed my legs when I did during that race, because if not for that, 5K is short, so there's not all that much time to catch up. So I think it was a well run race too.
And a testament to just how many times when we set big PRs, it's not something that we're like, oh wait, like everything's going perfectly
Mm,
and like we know it's gonna happen today. Like I don't think that very rarely happens. And it's just a testament to being consistent, keeping at it. You've been doing this for so many years now, and you never know how long it's gonna take to get a breakthrough like that. But when it happens, it's really sweet. I know I was actually lucky enough to be an unofficial pacer for your summer classic. And yeah, they really need to get on this. Like, I don't know if there's anybody from Cambridge Classic listening, but sponsor Emelyn. She's done all of the races. Absolutely should be sponsored. Should be running them for free by now. Absolutely. Um, but yeah, I think 1838, like that's super impressive. And from what I could research about your previous times, high school, college, all that, I don't think you were really that close to that. So I find that super inspiring because a lot of people feel like they peak in high school or peak in college whenever they were on a team. You did not do that. You're continuing to improve. How do you think you're able to keep doing that? Have you surprised yourself?
definitely. So since you brought up high school, yeah, I ran cross country and track in high school. Senior year, didn't really have much of a season. COVID came along. That's really when I started kind of not coaching myself, but definitely increasing my mileage. And so then all throughout college, stayed with that. And so, you know, going from that to where I am now really has been a great learning experience. And so I think that it's, something that a lot of people can relate to. And just I am excited to continue to try to cut down that 5K time even further.
Yeah, and I sounds like you're 1838, you were feeling pretty good during it. When did you kind of realize like, oh, I'm definitely breaking 19. Let's see how much I have left. And then after the race, now how are you feeling about setting new goals?
So I can actually answer this question pretty precisely, which I'm happy about because I looked down at my watch once and I saw 17 minutes and I knew that I was close to the end. And I was like, I have never seen 17 minutes on my watch. Like, I've never seen that number. And so just seeing that and I've like you said, I've run that race a number of times, so I knew how close the finish was. And so I was like, oh, like I think I'm gonna break 19. But no, but doing so by such a margin, I wasn't expecting that. So I was really excited. And my boyfriend also ran that, my mom was watching, so it was a great time.
Oh, that is a great time. Something that my high school coach used to say was he like made this vision of us chipping away like at a rock, I guess, and then each time you hit it, like little bits come off, and like you don't feel like you're improving that much. And then one time you
Hmm.
keep hitting it the same way, like you don't really do anything spectacular or different. And then, but one time when you hit it, a big chunk comes off, and that's like that big PR. I feel like that's what you definitely described and what you experienced with that. So nothing more satisfying in the sport than that.
Yeah.
But going forward now, how big are the goals? Are you thinking more like 5Ks, or I know you've done your fair share of 10Ks as well. You mentioned the
Hmm.
marathon. What's 2026 looking like?
One distance that I would love to unlock doing a race for is a 10 miler. I feel like that's something that I would really kind of thrive in. I do consider myself more of a mid longer distance, which I know that's relative to whatever you do, right? So to a 100-meter runner, then the 5K is really long, right? Um, but you know, looking at my 5K time relative to my 10K time, um, my 10K time is a little bit more impressive than the 5K. So that is really a distance that I do really enjoy, as well as the half marathon. Um, so I feel like that 10 miler might be a good sweet spot. And I know there's a couple of them down in like DC area. Um, the marathon, like you said, would also be great. Again, I'm not really in much of a rush to do that, but one day for sure. There's a lot of good ones. I have my eye out for like the Newport Marathon. I've heard good things about that one. I've done the Providence Half. They also do the marathon down there, which that one gives me like a little bit extra time to train up for. Um, but one thing that I really do want to try is the 10 miler. I think that's an interesting distance, not quite as common, but kind of being able to just lock in after completing that 10K. I think that might be a good sweet spot.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I recently talked to two different people about two different 10-mile races. I
Mm.
was watching the Philly Marathon, and while there, one of the people I was watching with was talking about wanting to do the Broad Street 10 miler. I think it's like a straight, um, I might be getting the name wrong, but it's a famous 10 miler in Philadelphia.
Oh.
So there's that one, and I think it's like super flat, fast, and like it might be out and back, so there's one turn, but or it might just be like point to point. So Philadelphia one, and then I also was talking to somebody who did the Army 10 miler.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Ishwar, your
Yeah.
boyfriend, knows something about that. Maybe he's even done it. Um,
Yeah, he did do it.
he
He's
did
done
do it.
it
Okay.
twice now. It's always the same weekend as one of my favorite races, the Boston 10K for women,
Oh,
which you know a thing or two about.
I
So I do tend to choose to stick around Boston for that one. It has a special place in my heart. I've been doing that since high school, and so, but maybe one year I'll make it out for that one. But yeah,
yeah,
a lot of good races
absolutely.
out
Well, that's a good segue into talking about the Boston 10K for women because that is one that is a staple on Emily's
Hmm.
schedule, I know. And I don't know if it was 2023, I think was like the first year I was there watching,
Yeah.
and I was there with friends, and I was like, oh yeah, like I know I have a friend, Emily's running it, and we watched the pros, like the elite pro field go by, and then it literally felt like next person was you, and we're like, oh, like there she is. So that I'm guessing was your PR. I know it was under
Yeah,
40
I
minutes. It was like
that was
39,
I
40.
think you're right. Yeah, that one, I think that was maybe the first time I broke 40. I remember
Yeah.
that year I broke 20 for the first time in the 5K and then 40 in the 10K, and I was feeling hot. I was like, wow, 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 where does this stop? And then it kind of slumped. And that's normal, right? But um since we talked about high school, yeah, I was definitely not sub 20 in high school. So it's also different terrain, right? Cross country, Western Mass, there's a lot more rolling going on, whereas Boston's relatively flat. Um, but yeah, it was great to see you there that year, the following year, doing your
Yes.
volunteering.
Yes. So the BU cross country and track team, which I was a part of, we would volunteer at the Boston 10K for women, and I always made sure I was in the group that was handing out medals so that I could make sure I gave Emily her medals. So that always worked out nicely. But I unfortunately wasn't able to make it this year. Maybe I'll go back next year, or maybe you'll do a pivot and do the Army 10 miler. But I don't know if you could do that. I don't know if you could do
Traeger, no, I'm just kidding.
that. So 10K. See, it sounds like you felt like that was more your wheelhouse than the 5K. What I'm curious about at your stage, figuring that stuff out feels a lot harder. And I know that you run solid volume. You run more mileage than me, actually. We have this little thing where last year we were like really close in mileage. So I checked your Strava total mileage this year, and you've got me by a few hundred miles. So kudos to you there. But as far as workouts,
Mm,
being graduated now, I've found that it's a lot harder to, especially if you don't have a coach, writing your own workouts, figuring out the right things to do. Sometimes just getting in the volume is like much more simple and reliable. You've been now running without a coach for some years. How do you break down your training when you plan it? Are there a lot of workouts incorporated in there, or is it mostly just you get the workout in when you race? How does that work?
So I've always kind of been a pretty self-motivated person. So I've been able to just be self-disciplined in that way, where it's like consistency has kind of been my key, less structured, less no, nothing written, planned, anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's consistent. Always making sure that there is some quality in that quantity of miles, a long run every week. I do plan on going to the track, at least once a week, um, going forward because it feels good to just keep those legs moving. But really, for me, I can't lie. I do a very flexible training plan, just kind of founded on consistency, and that's really worked for me. Everybody has a different style that works. Whether you run by pace, run by feel, running by feel works for me, because I'm internally pacing at the end of the day because yeah, I'm mindful of what the watch says, but it's all about how you feel within your body. But my non-negotiable is yeah, a longer run, which is probably like 10 or plus, around every week, and then something with a little bit of a tempo once per week. Just feels good.
Yeah, you broke that down really nicely. I always think it's so interesting to hear how different people can get to similar results with different training, but one thing that is always a constant is the consistency. You have to be consistent. Nobody's doing it with just a run and once in a blue moon, right? You got to be
Yeah.
out there getting in the mileage. Doesn't have to be necessarily high volume, but it's got to
Mhm.
be consistent. And that's something you do really well. One thing I want to delve into is the fact that you were kind of flying solo in college after being on a team in high school, but you were also involved in the run club. I want to hear about that experience. Was that something that gave you motivation to keep going? friends to maybe run with? And what was that experience like? Because it's definitely different from my experience having a team in college that and a coach holding you accountable. And I can kind of find it more impressive how you were able to continue holding yourself accountable without that team structure.
Yeah, so running club was when I started college over at BU. It was kind of the only club that was really up and running, right? It was COVID, so a lot of the clubs were meeting virtually, not in person. But running, we got to do that in person, fortunately not virtually. We were wearing masks. We had to run wearing masks on the Esplanade. Feels like a lifetime ago. Feels so crazy looking back on. But, it's how I not only got to learn Boston as a city, and I think running is a great way to learn a new place, but it's also how I met and formed a little community at BU, made a lot of friends, met a lot of mutual friends, kinda grew my circle from there. Um, so I really attribute a lot of, my happiness and well-being, especially freshman year, to being a part of the running club. And I stayed uh, active in it throughout my years at BU and still keep in touch with the people that I've met through it. So I actually never competed in any of the NERCA meets, which looking back, do I regret that? I don't say I regret it because I did do some of the local Boston races. Sure, it would have been something that I wish that I had just taken the opportunity to do, but I know that a lot of people do take advantage of that, and I think that's great. But I didn't want to put that pressure on myself, I guess, or for whatever reason. But yeah, love the running club. So shout out to the running club if there's any BURC runners listening to this.
There just might be. And I couldn't agree more when I think back to running in Boston and just the amount of places that I got to see on the regular. I mean, we were on the Esplanade almost every day. We were
Hmm.
seeing so much of the city so frequently. And I think just being a normal student who doesn't do that, nothing wrong with that, but I just would have missed it for sure. And that opportunity to consistently be seeing so much of the city, being out and about. So that's great to hear that you did that. It sounds like I don't think you ever took advantage though of a BU indoor track meet. Did you ever compete or race on our fastest track in the world?
Didn't. I did not. So, maybe they'll let me back and I'll have to give it a shot. No, that's not true. I did one. I did one. I did. It was the mask season.
Okay.
So it felt awful to be running on that with a mask, but I hardly even can remember. But I was there.
Okay,
Feels like a distant memory, but yeah.
that's good to hear. I feel like you have to. It's like a rite of passage, but also the opportunity remains. The meets a lot of people enter unattached, and
Mhm.
you might be able to cut some more time off that 5K getting into a heat at BU because those races are fast and
Yeah.
could happen. So leave
Yeah, I
that
heard
door
one of some
open.
fast times the last meet they had, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, the mask era is something that continues to blow my mind because it didn't necessarily feel that crazy at the time. It felt like this
Mm-mm.
is what we have to do and it makes sense. Now I can't even fathom running outdoors with a mask. That was terrible,
Yeah.
but we had to do it. It was like a rule. And I remember getting in trouble by someone in Brookline who reported our team for like
Oh,
running with the
wow.
masks off. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. And then yeah, the
Yeah.
indoor track. I mean, we already say that running indoors on our track as fast as it is, it can give you like a bit of a cough, the track hack we call it. But with the mask, like forget about it. Yeah, that's a whole
Yeah.
different story.
Yeah.
Speaking of running indoors, something that I struggle with and
Mm,
I actually hate is running on treadmills. I find it just I can't do it. The dreadmill is what I like to call it. And you're somebody who I don't know if you like it, but you are able to handle some miles on the treadmill. So I want to talk about that. What gets you, what motivates you to do that? I know you spend some time at the gym outside of the treadmill, so is it kind
Mm.
of a natural place to run? But for me, I just can't do it.
It's definitely not ideal. It doesn't feel the same way physically, mentally, right? You started point A, did the whole thing still at point A, and finish at point A when you're on the treadmill. Outside, maybe you start and finish at point A, but you covered a lot of ground. So it feels better. But I think running at all feels better than not running some days. So that's kind of why I do it. And if you can find a good treadmill, it doesn't feel all that bad. You put on some good music or have something if you want to watch something, you can do that. For me, it's music with the noise cancellation, just kind of tune out the outside noise and just get moving. It feels really good sometimes. Definitely not preferred, but I'm willing to do it.
I respect that a lot. And the music can make a difference, but for me,
Yeah.
looking down, like there's no way to avoid looking at how slowly your distance is going up. Like at least running outside, like I just won't look at my watch for a while and then oh, I
Yeah.
can look 20 minutes later. But yeah, you can't avoid that big screen. I have a friend I know, I'm sure a lot of people do this, but puts a towel over it so he can't
Yeah.
see anything. That's one way of doing it. And you're right, the treadmills have gotten better. I remember towards probably the second half of my time at BU, we got the Woodway treadmills in like the athlete weight room, and we would go there after races. Let's say we raced a mile, we would go there and get in like a little extra workout.
Okay.
So it wasn't a full workout, so it'd be like, I don't know, like 30-second fartlek kind of thing, like nothing too crazy. So for minimal amount of time on there, just getting something in, I can do it. But long run, oh, I can't even imagine. I would much
Yeah.
rather be out in the elements. And in Boston, that can get pretty ugly. It can get really ugly.
It it sure can. I remember a lot of those crazy runs, and you're not alone in the treadmill, as you know. There's a lot of people who don't like it, and some days are better than others, but you know.
Respect to those who tough it out, though. Um, and I also like to hear because you are going to be spending probably another brutal winter in Boston. What are Emmeline's tips on running in the cold? And not only the cold, Boston is incredibly windy, something
Yeah.
that you really can't avoid. But
Mhm.
if there's any tips you have, you've been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah. So my standard, like, let's say sub 20, like feels like temperature, good pair of leggings. Um, I've actually I my favorite is this pair of Under Armour leggings that I've had for like 10 years. And they don't make them like that anymore. So that's why I still wear them. Good pair of socks, nice warm gloves. My hands tend to get cold, so I think gloves. Also a gaiter so you can cover your mouth. Just move it up and down. Big fan of the running headbands too. Not so much of a hat person, but
Okay.
keeps the ears warm. Nice base layer, nice vest, keep the central core heated up. I also like my sunglasses. I used to never wear sunglasses running, and I don't know how I did it. I think in the last like 3 years, if there's even a little bit of sun, I always wear my sunglasses. But leading up to that, I never did. And looking back, I'm like, how did I do that? My eyes, I guess, now are more sensitive to the sun. But yeah, just making sure that you're properly warm is really important.
There you go. There you have it. That's the Emeline gear guide. It's pretty good. And you look cool doing it too with the sunglasses. So sounds like
Mm-hmm.
you've got it figured out for sure. Um, One thing we definitely have to talk about. I haven't revealed the shirt I'm wearing. If there's any guesses, do you have a guess? Maybe it peeked out for a
Well,
second.
I I don't have this color, but I think it must be the NKRC shirt.
It is
Oh, okay.
NKRC.
I don't have the blue one.
Oh,
Nice.
I think this might have been my oldest one, so maybe you weren't there
Yeah,
yet.
I have the
But
green one and the orange one. So,
I have them both. I actually looked at both of them today because they're all in the exact same part of my closet. But I was like, I think blue.
Moses.
Um, but yeah, Northeast Kingdom Running Camp. Technically, I don't know if we met, we didn't remember it, but we went to the
Mm-mm.
same running camp in high school. Great camp in Vermont.
Yep.
I actually went back for a year to be a counselor there. Loved it so
Mhm.
much. But NKRC, what can you talk about this camp? What it meant to your running journey? Let's talk some NKRC.
It was honestly so fun. Like, it was great, like, team bonding for me and my teammates at the time. Great opportunity to be out in Vermont. Lots of green, lots of water, lots of ice cream runs, of course. Um, it was great. I went 2 years, and honestly, like, I think the biggest thing that I got out of it was, um, like, the team bonding. Also, I really loved the little breakouts that we would have. Learned a lot about that, and, um, as well as, like, an introduction to strengthening, and I think it was really a fun time. Also loved the talent show. It was great, and happy to see that it's still kicking.
Oh, it's still kicking. Absolutely. Shout out to my guy Rory, who was
Mhm.
probably NKRC's biggest fan on my high school team. And I'm pretty sure he's continuing to go still. And he's a counselor, big presence at the running camp. But you summed it up well. And you brought back some memories of the breakout sessions and,
Yeah.
the talent show. The grad run, that's one
Oh
that
my
stands out to
goodness.
me.
Yeah.
Basically, the camp week ends with this run up a massive hill and everybody does it, and it's like super intimidating to everybody no matter how fast you are. So I think that's a
Yeah.
cool way to all be in something together that's really challenging and then celebrate at the top. But
Yeah.
shout out MKRC.
Shout out for sure.
Such a great experience. So 2026 now right around the corner. I'm starting to write out some races and like just see what the schedule might look like for running. I think that's like one of the most fun things to do, honestly, is
Mhm.
like planning out races. Have you done any of that? I know you've, started to think about distances, 10 milers, things like that. And has it changed now that just 3 weeks ago you ran such a strong PR? Do you feel like you want to capitalize on this fitness that you have and start racing more frequently, or are you gonna kind of ease back? What's it kind of feeling like?
Yeah, I don't have any races, lined up in the next 3 or 4 months or so, but I do intend to kick it back into the Cambridge, series. I love that one. But, for the last 4 years, I think I've been doing the same rotation of races, so it would be nice to incorporate something new into that mix. Still looking out for that, so I will take any recommendations. I know there's a bunch. And I do have some, like, dream destination type ones, but I don't know if that's quite a 2026, itinerary item, but definitely gonna keep my eye out, and we'll take any suggestions. I know there's some, like, in Nashville, maybe some that you would be interested in, Will. There's, like, Nevada Rock and Roll. Have you heard about that one?
No, I've heard
Which is
of
right
rock
on
and
the
roll. Yeah, I've heard of rock and roll races. My friend
yeah.
Drew, he did one. I think it was in San Francisco, and he always talks about it. He did it like as a kid, and that was like one of
Oh,
his
cool.
fun experiences. I don't know if they're all the same, but I think what he described was you're basically running, and there's just different concerts, different bands
Yeah,
throughout the course. So like you run by one, and like you enjoy a minute, I guess, of that one, and then you run the net. And throughout the course, you're just being entertained by live music. So that sounds really cool. But Las
'cause
Vegas, ooh, I might have to check that one out. That sounds really cool.
another one that people always tell me about is the Detroit Free Press International Marathon. Have you heard about that one?
No.
I think you start in Detroit and then run like through a tunnel into Canada. So hence the international. So you
Yeah,
cross into Canada, come back. Sounds pretty cool. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have a half and a marathon distance for that one. So that one sounds pretty cool to me as
that
well.
sounds really cool. I love this new era of like races that are just, I mean, it's not new, but to me it's new because I was kind of had my schedule planned out for
Mm,
me for high school and college, just doing the races that the team were doing. But I did do a couple this year that were just so fun. I did the New York Giants 5K where it was finishing on the football field.
awesome.
That was awesome. Got to meet some old players, check out the locker rooms and stuff like that's really cool. But
Yeah.
one that you actually, cross an international border, that's pretty cool. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a lot to check out. A lot of exciting races out there, and I'm excited to see which ones you end up selecting and doing.
Hmm.
The Cambridge Classic Series is really nice because they come up so quick. It's like you do one and then like the next one's right around the corner, because you've
Yeah.
got 4 a year. Um, Definitely like those. And now that you've had such a great experience doing them, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't continue as long as you're in that area.
Hmm.
So I think that's a good note to end this larger segment of the podcast on. But as we know, we have a tradition here on the Kick where we like to finish strong with 10 rapid fire questions. Are you feeling ready for that, Emily?
Yeah. I think I can. I'm ready
Okay.
whenever.
Yeah. Nothing's going to be too difficult. So just say what your gut instinct is, and I'm sure you
Okay.
will be great. So we're going to finish this episode just like we finish races. We're going to finish it strong, and we are going to see how fast is Emelyn Theriault's kick. All right, the clock's going to start after I ask the first question, and I'm going to time it on my phone, and then I'm going to put it on the episode later. So let me get my clock up. Boom. Stopwatch. All right. You ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Favorite Cambridge Classic event to run, like which season?
Fall.
Runner you looked up to growing up.
My mom.
Favorite route at NKRC.
The ice cream one.
Race you dream of running someday.
Detroit Free Press Marathon.
Favorite Christmas song.
Oh. Oh, Partridge in the 12 Days of Christmas. That's a good one.
Christmas movie.
Elf.
New Year's resolution.
Read 10 books.
Favorite running shoe.
Oh, Puma Deviate Nitro.
Favorite song to run to.
Oh, Nana Ni Nana Nia is Gazo.
Favorite
Something.
place to run in Boston.
Esplanade.
46 seconds. That's really solid, especially since the song title you gave was quite complicated.
Yeah.
We'll
Ugh.
make sure we get it afterwards, but you knew what it was, so
Yeah,
we were
you
ready to
can
move
write
on.
that out in the description. Gazo,
Definitely.
definitely recommend. He's a French rapper.
Ooh.
That's what I was thinking of when I said running on the treadmill. But
Hmm.
that it's just like you can it's like an intense beat, you just move with it. It's good. I know. I
That's awesome.
recommend.
Putting the Kick listeners onto some good music, some maybe underground artists, or maybe he's not that underground, but that's awesome. Some great answers there. Definitely touching the runner you look up to being your mom. I know she had a very good career and continues to run to this day, so that's super cool. Um, I think didn't wait. This we needed to mention this in the episode. I can't believe I glossed over this. So the Boston women's 10K or 10K uh,
Yeah.
for women in Boston, huge event. Like this is a big time race. And they have it's all you know women, very inspiring, and they have this division that they score where they score moms and daughters as a team of two. And Emmeline and her mom won this year as the best duo. So hats off to you there. Big congrats. That's pretty cool. What was that like?
It's so awesome. The first time we both ran it was I think my freshman year. Um, and she came back again this past year to do it, and it's just so special because a lot of moms and their daughters do it, so just to be able to share that together is always so special to me. And you know, I do, growing up she didn't run, but I so much, but with me doing cross country, she's been keeping up with it, and so I always love to hear about her running accomplishments, sharing them with her, sharing some miles. It's really great.
That is really great. And I want to take a look back at your answers in depth after, because when I'm asking them, I'm honestly not even paying that close attention to what you're saying. So I want to ask so quickly and keep you posted. But I'm sure you gave some good answers and very exciting. You said 10 books for New Year's resolution though.
Yes, yes,
Nice,
10
nice.
books.
Yeah, that's always a good one. Reading, you can never go wrong with reading. Do you have any books lined up that you're hoping to read for sure?
I do. Yeah, I have a couple. So like I started the book of a month subscription and then I never stopped it um while I was at BU as a student, so they kept getting sent to my house back in Western Mass. So I have a couple of those lined up. Right now I'm reading Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman. Um it's a slow blow right now, or slow burn
Slow
right now.
burn.
Slow bl slow burn, but I've heard it gets rolling, so it's interesting. Um,
Really
I'll
cool.
try to find a way to read while I run, but flipping the pages might be a little difficult.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe well, we've got audiobooks, but
yeah, yeah,
that'd be a good distraction for the treadmill, pages
yeah.
covering the distance might not be the safest though. That's awesome. Well, congrats on a very strong 2025 and wishing you the best of luck in the year ahead. I'm sure it promises a very bright 2026. Thanks for coming on, Emily.
Thanks so much, Will, for having me.